We start by informing you about the Constitution and democracy. The Don Lemon Show is brought to you by the Freedom from Religion Foundation. So let's talk facts. Right now, all across the U.S., politicians are pushing religion into our public schools. Posters of the Ten Commandments, chaplains without clinical training, taxpayer vouchers rerouted to private religious schools, schools that often exclude LGBTQ students or non-Christians. That's not freedom. That's coercion. But Freedom from Religion is fighting back. Just this month, they won a federal court victory stopping a Texas law that would have forced every public school to display the Ten Commandments. That's the First Amendment in action. So they defended your rights in court, in Congress, and in classrooms so that public education stays truly public. That's why they defend your rights. Don't let politicians rewrite your freedoms. Learn more at ffrf.org/school. Okay, or you can text my first name, DON, to 511-511, ffrf.org/schools, or text my name to 511. Text and messaging fees may apply. You know, one of the questions I hear most often from this community, and really just everywhere I go, is a simple one. What can I do? How do I push back against Trump and the Republican Party's authoritarian takeover of America? Well, I just want to show you how two very, very different Americas are answering that question. And I said Americas, not Americans, but you can say Americans as well. First, this Will Westmoreland, okay? I don't know if you've heard of him. He's been on the channel before, so maybe you've heard of him, maybe you haven't. He is white. He is a farmer, a rural activist, a political consultant. He spends his time in small town America talking directly to white voters, most of them white voters, many of them still loyal to Donald Trump. He is showing them how MAGA policies are actually hurting their farms, their families, and their futures. And then there's Dr. Jamal Bryant. Also, you've probably seen him here on the channel and elsewhere. He is a Black pastor. He is a civil rights leader. He is fighting for Black consumers and small business owners, taking on corporations that caved after Trump's election. Mainly, right, he led the boycott of Target when it abandoned its diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts, DEI efforts. White America waking up, Black America fighting back, two very different communities, one struggle. I want you to listen to what they say, Lemonheads, because I think you're going to learn a lot. First up, Will Westmoreland. I love speaking to people who are out there in the heartland, talking to people just to get a pulse on what's happening in America. Will Westmoreland is one of those folks. Here he is. He's a farmer. He's a rural activist and a political consultant. How you doing, Will?
I'm doing great, Don. I hope you are.
I'm doing well. So let's welcome everybody to the Don Lemon Show. I have some depressing news to share and discuss with Will. Texas Governor Greg Abbott has officially signed into law the Lone Star State's new congressional voting map designed to help Republicans gain 5 seats in the 2026 midterm elections. It's a big win for President Donald Trump and House Republicans and a loss for democracy, the American people, but a big win for MAGA. What do you think? How is this going to hit the heartland?
Well, I had an opportunity to interview Jim Hightower today, one of my all-time heroes, and I think he said it better than I ever could. He just said it simply, it's a dark day for America. And I've got to tell you, I talked to a lot of people at the State House. I'm down in Austin, Texas right now. I've been talking to some of the elected representatives here and just people out on the street. And I think the biggest complaint that everyone has, both Democrat, Republican, and Independent, is that this is a really blatant circumvention of allowing the elections to determine what's going to happen in this country. And that's what had everybody so angry, Don, is just you can't win by putting your ideas in front of the people. So you're going to jury rig the system to try to win that way.
Do you think that they understand that? One would think after what happened with the tariffs, with farmers really being hurt, and with rounding up and deporting people who are undocumented, and quite frankly, many of them were workers on the farms that kept the farms going and viable. One would think that maybe farmers, maybe people who are in the Rust Belt, in the farmland, that they might feel a different kind of way about the choices that they made at the box office in November.
Yeah, I think it's happening very slowly right now. I've joked with you before that when I go around the country and speak with the Back 40, Uh, Whenever the entire event is over, I'll have 5 or 6 Republicans that'll look around and make sure everybody's gone. And then they'll come up to the front of the room and they'll say, listen, I made a big mistake voting for this guy. What do I do? But I do think, to your point, Don, when we get to the end of this year, if these numbers that we're looking at in regard to possible farm bankruptcy and crops rotting in the field because of the immigration raids, et cetera, I do think that going into next year's elections, that's going to have a huge impact. And I think that's why they're doing this. They see the writing on the wall.
Yeah. I also want to talk to you about, we're going to get back to some of the things. I know that you spoke with Democratic leader, you spoke with Jean Wu, and we'll get to that. But I want to ask you about, as we're taping this, there's some other news that is developing, and that is Senator Joni Ernst is not seeking reelection. It is Iowa. You know Iowa very well. How is this? Do you think that this will have any effect on, the economy, or at least the 2026 midterm elections, and perhaps maybe someone else getting in there that may not be such a MAGA loyalist, even if the policies are
Yeah,
hurting Iowa?
it's a good question. Let me tell you the Will Westmoreland theory on why I think she's dropping out. Number one, there was just an election there, and you'll have to forgive me because I just read about this last night and this morning. There was an election there in the last couple of days where you had a Democratic candidate that beat
Yeah,
a Republican in a district that went, I think, over 15% Trump in the last election.
yeah,
And so the writing is on the wall, even in Iowa. Plus, Joni Ernst has a veteran running against her as a Democrat, probably coming out of this primary in the next Senate race up there. And listen, that comment that she made about, well, we all have to die sometime, that did not play well in Iowa. I speak up there regularly, and I can tell you that even people that are not on the same side of the political aisle as I am were really disgusted by that remark. So I think she read the tea leaves and they didn't look good. And she decided, instead of losing, I'm just going to drop out. And I would guarantee you, Don, we'll get somebody that's even more MAGA running on the Republican side, and that bodes well for change.
yeah. Well, as you mentioned, the Democrat in that race that won is Caitlin Dray. She pulled
That's
off a
right.
victory. It
Thank
was a
you.
special election for Iowa Senate, flipping a Republican-held seat and breaking the GOP supermajority in the chamber for the first time in 3 years. But you mentioned Joni Ernst saying we're all going to die. This is a soundbite that really got her in hot water. Here it is.
So people are not, well, we all are going to die. So for heaven's sakes.
Yeah, so that did not go over well. And so you really believe that that one moment was the deciding factor, Will?
I do, Don. And listen, I've talked to you about this before. I had a really bad farm accident when I was a kid. I got my arm caught in the power takeoff in a tractor when I was 12, and I laid out on the ground in our farmyard for 2 hours waiting for an ambulance to show up and to get treatment. And those stories in rural America are multiplied all over the country. We have to wait longer after a car accident, after a farm accident, if we have a heart attack, if any other kind of medical emergency occurs. Just imagine a parent of a kid like me coming to a town hall like that and laying out that horrific story and saying, how can you take our health care away? And imagine hearing the answer from your elected senator, oh, well, we've all got to die someday.
Yeah.
That's a slap in the face to every mother, father, grandparent out there. And I do think it was a critical moment in her campaign.
She did respond to it. Here it is.
Hello, everyone. I would like to take this opportunity to sincerely apologize for a statement that I made yesterday at my town hall. I was in the process of answering a question that had been asked by an audience member when a woman who was extremely distraught screamed out from the back corner of the auditorium, "People are going to die." And I made an incorrect assumption that everyone in the auditorium understood that, yes, we are all going to perish from this earth. So I apologize. And I'm really, really glad that I did not have to bring up the subject of the tooth fairy as well. But for those that would like to see eternal and everlasting life, I encourage you to embrace my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ.
Look, I don't know if that was sufficient or not, but
It's not. You say the quiet part out loud, you get caught, and then you come back with some milquetoast response, to try to cover up what it is you really said. She might as well have just stood up and said, I don't care. I
yeah,
don't care that we're taking your health care away. That would
wow.
have been a hell of a lot more honest.
You mentioned rural America having to wait longer. Do you think folks really understand when they demonize big blue cities or blue states? Many of them, most of them, if not all of them, are donor states to rural America. Helps rural America be able to afford to even have municipalities and towns, and in some cases cities, and infrastructure. Do they understand that that most times rural America is getting subsidies from the big blue places, and perhaps they should, be cognizant of that, and in some ways be thankful because we're spending a lot of money helping to foot the bills for rural America.
As the great John Lewis said, some of y'all are getting your education right now. And that's what's happening out here. I mean, I think it's happening in real time. Is it happening as fast as we want it to? No. Is it happening to as many people as we want it to happen to? No. But yeah, they're learning. Let me give you just a real quick example, Don. In the little town I grew up in and graduated from, a little town called Bolivar, Missouri, when I went to school there and graduated from high school, there were about 7,000 people. It's a town of about 12,000 now. It's in a county that went for Donald J. Trump by 82%. And the local hospital administrator there did an article with NPR in this very Republican area where nobody talks politics, especially to criticize a Republican. They went into the NPR station and sat down and said, listen, we are break even at best. Offering these critical care services in rural America, we're break even at best. Under this big, beautiful bill, we're going to lose $3 million a year. And that's going to mean cuts in services, and we don't know where we're going to make it up. So when the ambulance has to drive for an hour and a half instead of 10 minutes to get to your house, when you've got to be care flighted 180 miles away to get treatment instead of being able to drive in an ambulance for 20 minutes, we're going to learn, and we're going to learn the hard way. So yes, I think they're coming to grips with that.
Well, let me just give you some information since you're there, and you're free to comment on it if you want. The big beautiful bill's effect on Medicaid in rural America: roughly 12 million people are projected to lose health insurance over the next decade as a result of the newly signed legislation. Experts say it amounts to the largest cut to Medicaid and rollback in healthcare coverage in history that would disproportionately harm residents in rural areas. Rural hospitals closing, as you have been discussing. According to a June report by the Center for Healthcare Quality and Payment Reform, more than 300 rural hospitals are already at, quote, immediate risk of closing due to the severity of their financial problems. And we also, after that, need to talk about the school voucher program, and privatization of education is going to devastate rural children's education, Will.
Every time I hear somebody in rural America complain about Medicaid, I remember what my grandpa used to say to these folks. He'd tell them, I'm really glad you can stand on the soapbox that LBJ and the Democrats built for you. And I always thought that was a great line because the fact is, nobody takes advantage of Medicaid more than rural America. And I'm okay with that. We made a decision in the 1960s that in this country, the wealthiest country on the face of the planet, it would be worth it to invest in the health care of our people. And what we're learning out here in rural America with over 700 hospitals that were in danger of closing before the big, beautiful bill, and now that number could be double or tripled, we're going to learn the hard way what it means to live in a healthcare desert. So you're
Okay.
absolutely right. It's not going to be esoteric. It's not going to be a statistic on the piece of paper. It's going to be having a heart attack in your living room, and do you get the treatment in time for your life to be saved? That's how we're going to learn the lesson.
Oh, wow. You're out there talking to folks. You've been speaking to representatives as well, including the Democratic leader in the Texas House of Representatives, who is Representative Jean Wu. But before we get into the meat of your interview, did he discuss ending the quorum break?
He did. And, he made a really good point. And it's the point, if I'm being completely honest with you, I borrowed it from him at the beginning of our interview. He made the point that, listen, when you look at the polling data, and I hear you talk about this all the time, so I'm sharing something with you you already know, but president's underwater. The Republicans are underwater in every single category now, including the border and immigration. There is not a single category measurable in the approval ranking and rating of the Republican Party and the president where they're above water. And if you believe the polling, even if you halfway believe the polling, the midterm election looks really bad for them, to the extent that the Democrats could not only take control of the House, but could have a comfortable lead there. And he made the same point that I made at the beginning. Instead of them coming out here and making their arguments based on policy and explaining why these decisions that they're making in state houses and in the Congress are good for the American people, they're going to try to gerrymander the system so that there are so many Republican districts that even if we win the majority of them, we still don't take Congress. But here's a point that he made that I wanted to mention to you. He talks about the fact that these policies that are being passed, if they have to win by fiat, by changing the rules, it's going to mean the destruction of the middle class. But the other point he makes is that this could really backfire on them. They're taking districts in the state of Texas that are comfortably 12 to 15% Republican, and they're making them 3, 4, 5% Republican. And when you look at the race that you talked about in Iowa, where Democrats across the country are closing some of these races by 15%, there's a chance that this could cost them districts in the end. And I think that's something that I hadn't thought about and that a lot of people aren't talking about.
Support for the Don Lemon Show comes from 120 Life. Now listen, I've got family members dealing with high blood pressure. It is serious and it is common. 1 in 2 adults has it. That is a 50-50 chance that you or someone you love is walking around with a ticking time bomb. But here is the hope, okay? You can help manage it naturally. 120 Life is a blend of superfruit juices designed to lower blood pressure without the side effects of big pharma. Real people see real results. Here's what Larry C. says. He says, it's easy to drink every morning, and my wife and I both saw our numbers come down. Fred C. says, finally, a product that does what it says. Doctors recommend it too. You can track your own progress at home with a simple monitor, and you see the difference. For a limited time, try 120 Life and save 20% with the code DON at 120life.com. It's risk-free. If your numbers don't drop in 2 weeks, you get a full refund. This is your life we're talking about. Don't wait. Visit 120life.com and use the code DON to save 20%. Support comes from Ollie. Now, if you know me, you know my dogs are my family, right? And I've tried all kinds of food over the years. Some made them sluggish, some they just flat out refuse to eat. But with Ollie, whole different story. The tail wags, the little hops, the goofy grins, that's the Ollie effect. Ollie makes fresh human-grade dog food in 5 drool-worthy flavors from beef with sweet potatoes to turkey with blueberries, no fillers, no preservatives, just real food made in U.S. kitchens. And you can tell the difference. They have more energy, their coats are shinier, even their digestion is better. So here's the kicker. Ollie is the only fresh dog food brand that also gives you unlimited routine health screening, so your pup can live their healthiest, happiest life. Head over to ollie.com/lemon, take their quick quiz, and use the code LEMON, LEMON, to get 60% off your first box. They even offer a happiness guarantee, so you've got nothing to lose. That's OLLIE.com/lemon, code LEMON for 60% off. And so as you're speaking to him, you mentioned now what kind of I don't know if it's the meat of your conversation, but a very important part of your conversation that we're going to hear. And can you set this soundbite up for us?
Yeah, you bet. So what I had asked him is, when I travel around rural America, I always make the point that the fear that we have in rural America, the problems that we're seeing there as a result of these policies, they 100% apply to our cities and suburbs as well. And he makes the point in this clip of just saying that, we've got to get away from just talking about these issues as if they're just numbers on a piece of paper. This is going to cost us our middle class. If you take away our health care, if you take away our hospitals, if you take away our schools to pay for kids that already are attending, wealthy kids that are already attending private religious schools, and if you ruin our economic system in rural America, those are the very foundations of our middle class. And if those continue to disappear and go away, there'll be no middle class left, and that hurts everyone.
Here it is.
When was America at its strongest? 80s, 90s? Absolute economic and political dominance, right? What happened then? Well, those when the boomers were at their absolute maximum peak productivity, right? And how did we get from there? Well, they had really good programs in college that they basically went to school for next to nothing. They could just work a part-time job and pay for college. And they came out to great government jobs. They came out to great jobs created by government programs that invested heavily into aerospace, medical field, technology, computing. All those things were laid out by the government. The government started the internet. The government started like aerospace. The government started all these things. And that investment now is gone.
Right.
Education is expensive. When you come out, there's no guarantee of a good job. There's no guarantee that you would get a job that's different than if you had an education versus you didn't. Right? And now, not only that, on top of that, at least in the past, white-collar jobs were reasonably safe. Now with AI, basically invalidating 90% of white-collar jobs. What are we going to do? How do we survive as a nation? Where is the middle class going to find the next generation of the middle class? And these are questions that we have simply refused to ask over and over again.
I feel like we could talk for another hour just about AI and privatization.
Yeah.
So is everyone as candid and as aware, meaning representatives in Texas and in the area, about the times that we're in right now?
I think so. Don, I didn't talk to a single representative. I talked to Representative Vicki Goodwin, who is running for lieutenant governor here in the state of Texas as well. I talked to a lot of the staff that worked for these different politicians in the state capitol. They were fired up. They had a fire in their belly, and they all understood what the ramifications of this were. Now it turns to the courts, and the hope is that the courts will stand up for good governance. And I don't know how comfortable any of them were, that was going to happen. But yes, they very clearly understood the ramifications of this, and they fought like hell to prevent it from happening. But the truth of the matter is, and I hear you report on this all the time, they've got the numbers right now.
Yeah.
And when you have the numbers, you can force through whatever you want to force through.
Who should run for Senate against Texas Senator John Cornyn?
I talked with several people down here yesterday about that. And I think it's kind of up in the air right now in terms of who may step up and run. I was really impressed with Minority Leader Wu, but I couldn't get him to admit on camera that was something he might consider. I tried.
What about James Tallarico?
Yeah, another great one. So this is what I think, though. I think you've got a Democratic Party and a Democratic elected base down here that's really fired up about these changes. And I wouldn't be surprised at all if we don't see a big name step up at the last minute to make a run for that seat.
Will, I want to know if you're glass half full or glass half empty, because I know you're going to be out there fighting the good fight going into 2026 and 2028. What are you doing and how are you feeling?
I'm like you, Don. I'm a glass half full kind of guy. I believe in the American people. I believe they're going to see through the charade, and that in the end, they're going to do the right thing. It's like Churchill once said, never underestimate the ability of the Americans to do the right thing after they've tried all the wrong things. So we'll be out here with the Back 40. If people want to check us out and look at all the hard work we're doing, you can go to back40action.org, and you can learn all about our hard work. We're going all over the country doing what we call meet in the middle events to bring Democrats, Republicans, and independents together to fight for good policy in rural America. And heck, while you're at it, if you want to make it an early Christmas present for us, you can even make a donation.
Will Westmoreland, thank you, sir. And I would suggest that you guys do what he says. Go help him out because we need it right now. Thank you, Will.
Thanks, Don. Appreciate it.
That was Will Westmoreland, a farmer, activist, consultant, and I'm grateful that he joined us to break down the news out of Texas and Washington, D.C. Now, I want you to hear from Pastor Jamal Bryant. This is a powerful conversation. You won't want to miss it. And remember, even in the middle of all of this doom and gloom, you still have power. Dr. Bryant. Perhaps you have seen the news reports.
Target is taking a financial hit after dropping its diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. The retail giant has reportedly lost more than $12.4 billion in revenue.
Or you have seen the social media backlash or uproar?
Do not shop at Target. They're done. Our block dollar goes really far. Do not give it to them.
Are you shopping with us today? No thanks. Why not? You're on the boycott list.
Let me tell you what's happened with Target in the last few months. The retail giant has seen foot traffic evaporate as its stock has been plunging. Why is that? The company is facing a backlash and a full-on boycott after a widely publicized rollback of its DEI initiatives. Many Black Americans saw that move as a slap in the face. After the murder of George Floyd, the company was seemingly so outspoken with the support and overflowing with the support of Black businesses, pledging a $2 billion investment in Black-owned businesses. But now that Trump is back in power, their true colors are showing right now. They are reverting. They're not just reverting, going backwards, all right? Believe me when I say the boycott is working. In fact, business is so bad, the CEO, Brian Conrail, I should say, just announced he is stepping down. And today I'm talking with the man who launched that boycott for Target, and that's Dr. Jamal Bryant. Doctor, thank you so much. What's the lesson here?
The lesson is, in the words of Public Enemy, don't believe the hype. It's a lot of smoke and mirrors, Don, because Brian did not step back. He's stepping up. He is now the chairman of the board. And the new president of Target was Brian's COO. So they have not changed their policy or their perspective. It's really just musical chairs on the Titanic.
I'm sorry. Go on.
We really thought there would be some real substantive change. We've sent a letter asking to meet with the new incoming president. So I'm hoping that we'll see a shift.
The foot traffic in Target declined year over year for the sixth consecutive month in July, falling 3.8%. That's according to Placer.ai. And since announcing it was curtailing its DEI on January 24th, foot traffic has been down for the year of 2025 for the last 27 weeks, year over year for 2025 for the last 27 weeks. But there seems to be, as you said, you don't think that they're changing, their core of what their mission or what they believe in. It's a standoff, but they got to do something because these numbers are not good.
No, it's gone bad. And the reality is the sustainability is something that they had not expected. It's the longest boycott for Black people in 70 years since the Montgomery bus boycott. And so they didn't expect it. And so we're keeping the pressure on. The thing that bears to mind, Don, is that it took 2 weeks of outrage for Cracker Barrel to change their logo back. We're down to 5th month, and still we've not seen any directional change.
Yeah, but I'm gonna get to that Cracker Barrel thing. So I'm glad you reminded me of that. But I want to stick with Target for just a second. Is this a stalemate? I mean, have you spoken to? Did you ever meet with the other CEO or anybody there?
Yes.
And
Yes, I met with Brian the Thursday before Easter, wherein we were supposed to have some callback immediately after that, Don. Our meeting, he was summoned to the White House with the president of Amazon and the president of Walmart. We've not heard back from Brian since. And so I don't know what the administration told him, but I think that the receipts are louder than words.
And is this sustainable? Because I find that, people they say a lot, right? People talk big and then they don't follow through. This appears to, look, you followed through, many African Americans followed through, and others. Social media outrage is Black folks, but it's also a lot of different demographics in there as well. Are you surprised that this has been so sustainable? Because in this day and age, people get used to comfort. They're used to, I got to get my Target stuff. I got to do this. But it appears this one has some staying power.
Yeah, I think Target is going to have to put on Timberlands to get up Kilimanjaro because it takes 30 days to create a habit. And so now you're 5, it's almost 6 months out. And a lot of people are resigned. I'm just not going back. And so that responsibility is not ours, it is theirs. But I am grateful that so many people across the country are standing in lockstep with us.
I remember in the beginning, some of the Black business owners were concerned about a boycott and cautioned you and others against it. Where are they now with this?
We partnered with the U.S. Black Chamber of Commerce, so every person who signs up to be a part of this boycott uh, gets a electronic directory of 200,000 black businesses around the country. And over 300,000 people have signed up to get it at targetfast.org. And so I think that we're taking out the middleman and going right to the supplier, and black businesses are seeing some buoyancy because of it.
Do you think in that meeting with the president that that they were told, Target was told not to back down because if they, they would set a precedent and other folks would start backing down? What do you think happened? I know
Don,
you weren't there.
yeah, I wasn't there, but Don, if I owed you $1 million, you would be calling me Colette. If I owed you $5 million, you would be sending me a smoke signal. For them to lose $12 billion in valuation, I'm pretty sure that the administration told them to rock firm that this will pass because they hadn't seen it. I think that Trump's greatest fear is if they capitulate, then other companies will do the same.
Well, I wanted to say Target's not the only one. Most businesses did.
Yeah.
Walmart and others, correct? I think Costco said
27.
no.
27.
Yeah. So tell me who and what their concern level should be, because they are not changing CEOs. They are not putting their policies, reversing their policies.
Yeah, our thought was to do one business at a time, to focus on one and to have a strident success at that before we enlarged it, because we're in uncharted territory. And I think having myopic vision and having laser focus just on target, you're seeing it in the stock, you're seeing it in the foot traffic, you're seeing it in the valuation, that target is our first, it's not our last, and it won't be our only.
Is this one, I asked a similar question, but is this one sustainable because of what makes it different? Is it the organization around it? Is it that you're offering people alternatives? Is it that you are giving them places where they can go and get the products that they might be able to get at Target? Why is that?
I think Target had a different kind of connection with the black community. They're the
Yeah.
only Fortune 500 company that got invited to the cookout. We gave them a nickname. It became Target. The reality is that black people were spending $12 million a day at Target. And so black people took it personal as an affront and as an offense. And so it was not a hard sell once the numbers were rolled out before.
I got to tell you, usually for my Christmas,
If we can
Target
if we can make it through Black Friday, we have won. I think that's going to be the real test, is what we are able to sustain over the Christmas holiday.
Yeah, you should see the boxes that we get for Christmas from Target, usually, right?
Yeah.
And I think every black family is at. I'm glad you mentioned that, because I was thinking that there's a different connection, I believe, for Target than there is for Walmart and for any of the other retailers. For some reason, and I think you pointed it out, is because we invited them to the cookout, and I guess because of their strong support of black businesses in the black community, that people frequented them. Look, when I lived in Atlanta, that's all we did. Target. We bought groceries at Target.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
It was one-stop shopping. It was the corner store, the flea market, the supermarket, and Nordstrom's all at once. We were buying clothes and eggs.
Support comes from Mint Mobile. You know what doesn't belong in your summer plans? A bloated wireless bill, that's what. While you're at the beach barbecuing or taking that long weekend, your phone bill shouldn't be draining your wallet. That's why so many people are switching to Mint Mobile. Same great coverage, same 5G speeds, but for way less. For a limited time, okay? Mint is offering 3 months of unlimited premium wireless for just $15 a month. Unlimited talk, text, and high-speed data on the nation's largest 5G network. Bring your own phone, your number, your contacts, no hassle. My team tried it, and they couldn't tell the difference from the big carriers except for the price. So skip breaking a sweat and breaking the bank. Get this offer now at mintmobile.com/DonLemon. That's mintmobile.com/DonLemon. 3 months of unlimited for just $15 a month. You have to pay the first 3 months upfront, $45, and then the rest is normal. All right, so check the details. Support comes from Shopify. When I started this show, it was just an idea, a dream, and Shopify helped me to turn that dream into reality. Shopify powers millions of businesses worldwide, 10% of all e-commerce in the US, from household names to people just starting out. And here at the Don Lemon Show, we use Shopify to bring you the merch you love, that you requested, all right? And you were right. Glad you talked me into it. Maybe you thought, I don't know how to design a website. Shopify's got you covered with ready-to-go templates. Need help writing product descriptions or generating discount codes? Well, they've got AI tools built for commerce. And when you're ready to find customers, Shopify makes email and social media campaigns simple. Plus, their award-winning support is available 24/7. So stop asking what ifs and start saying why not. Sign up for just $1 a month at shopify.com/lemon. That's shopify.com/lemon, and turn those dreams into with Shopify. Thanks to our sponsors. So what do you want from them?
We've asked Target for four things. Number one, because we spend $12 million a day, that they would invest $250 million into black banks so that people would have access to capital for entrepreneurship and home ownership. Number two, Target is on 27 college campuses, but no HBCUs. We've asked them to partner with 6 HBCUs that have business programs to teach young entrepreneurs how to scale a business and how to franchise. Number three, after the death of George Floyd, they made a covenant of $2 billion back into black business and black communities. They said that they were going to give us the receipts July 30th. We're coming up on August 30th and have seen absolutely nothing. Number four, which is the final, we gave them a blank canvas and told them to reimagine DEI. If minorities come into their skill set and come into their employ, how did they find a chart to make it to the C-suites? And so those are the four things that we've asked Target for.
And so far, what have they said to you about each of
We'll
them?
get back to you.
That's it? No explanation? You didn't
No.
break down and they
No.
say, well, maybe
No, we're
we could do
working on
this?
We got receipts. We're going to show you where we're investing. We're going to show you how we are partnering. And again, that was the Thursday before Easter. And here we are coming up on Labor Day, and I have nothing. Nothing
You
would
think
give me
that-
greater pleasure than for them to produce what they're saying that they're doing.
You think they're just trying to wait you out?
Yes, absolutely.
Well, okay, I don't know what that is going to do.
They need to fire their PR firm immediately because whoever's giving them strategy is doing an epic fail.
Yeah. Let me ask you, you mentioned Cracker Barrel in the beginning. And Cracker Barrel, let's be honest, Cracker Barrel changed their logo and they wanted to change also, I guess, the public perception of their business and change the restaurants because, quite frankly, their customer base was
Yeah.
dying off, right?
Yes.
They were losing customers and they were trying to open up for a larger demographic, invite more people in, diverse people, rather than just, focusing on the same demographic.
Yes.
So they changed their logo. There was outrage amongst their core consumers. And how long did you say it took? A week and a half?
Yeah, it took 10 to 12 days.
And so why do you think they changed and Target won't?
Because they kept the crack and left the barrel. I think the reality is they said,
Keeping it 100. I mean,
yeah, no, listen, they didn't change the name. They didn't change the name. They just changed the picture of the guy. And the more outrage was bring the guy back. But they can't. I don't know what the message was done. but they're gonna have to do a whole nother sweep in order to sell those flapjacks.
But it does seem something. You think that it is, you think it's racial?
Yes. Have you ever been there? It's the last plantation. It's Gone with the Wind. It's rocking chairs on the front porch. They're selling molasses by the cash register. They have everything but a Confederate flag in that place.
Do they have them? They might have them. I've never frequented a Cracker Barrel.
Don, listen, we're going to do a live behind the scenes next time you come to Atlanta. I am taking you to Cracker Barrel.
Well, I'm asking you, do you think, because it did it less than no time, really,
Yes, they did it
in no
because
time.
it was a signal to them that Cracker Barrel was becoming woke. To remove that guy off of the picture, they're like, we might as well be selling a slab of ribs. They wanted to be
Hmm.
clear who is the demographic market and who it is that they're aiming for.
Can you take that argument to Target and say, look, Cracker Barrel?
They heard their consumer base and didn't take a quarter for them to do it and responded to it. They did responsible marketing. And Target really needs to follow suit and do an adjustment. You're going to keep hemorrhaging for what reason? It's
Hmm.
only but so much toilet paper Elon Musk can buy. You're going to have to capitulate to the consumer base. Black people are the number one consumers in this country, and our economic strength is $1.2 trillion. And when it becomes a focus and targeted, you have to think that black people were able to stop a whole transportation system in Alabama when most of them didn't have cars. Now people have more viable options and said, we'll drive down the road to Costco because their stock is growing. Their footprint is growing. And people said, I'd rather stick with people who stick with us.
Hmm. And so you mentioned you wanted to start with one business. So
Yes.
then I asked you in the beginning, initially, what's the lesson in this? I want to know, what is the lesson? Is there a lesson or the moral in the story for other businesses who think, oh, well, they got Target and
Yeah, I
this
think that
isn't the end for you?
I think it is the changing of the guard. That a new civil rights generation has emerged, that people are standing for. What is significant is we're doing it without protesting. We're doing it without marching, but that we're demonstrating it with selective spending. The next step after civil rights is civil rights. And we're on an economic quest, and I'm excited to see what the new civil rights frontier is going to look like.
And who do you think would be next on your list?
Well, we got 27 different options, and to be transparent with you, Don, I didn't think we'd be going this long. And I'm hoping that we're able to get resolved before Christmas and that the other ones will line up. America is feeling the ground shift under its feet. I'm leaving you and flying to D.C. Because the churches of D.C. are having a collective service tomorrow at 12 noon because they're a city under siege. Chicago is up in arms. Oakland is up in arms. My hometown, Baltimore, is on edge. And so a week from now, I don't know what America's going to look like.
Dr. Jamal Bryant, thank you, sir. Keep up the fight.
I'm grateful.
So what a powerful discussion by both of the men, two perspectives, both standing up to MAGA. So I'm glad that you spent some time watching this. And I have to tell you that I love this community. I love the community that we are building here together, okay? If you want to know anything about The Don Lemon Show, go to donlemon.com. Everything you need is there. Drop us a note in the comments here or drop us a note on the community page, or you can email us if you have a comment at thedonlemonshow@gmail.com. If you buy merch from us, you can send photographs there and we'll put them up on the channel for you. Tell me what you're doing also over the long holiday weekend, the Labor Day weekend. I'd be interested to know. And remember, you have a voice. You can fight back. Also remember that you can be informed without being inundated or overwhelmed by what's going on. So until I see you next time, enjoy, be safe, be healthy, and turn the TV off. Thanks everyone for watching. Your support means the world to us. So make sure you hit the like button and you subscribe to our channel to make sure that you never ever miss a video. We're live every day, 10 a.m. Eastern time. We drop even more content at 2 p.m. Eastern and 5 p.m. Eastern. And if you want more Don Lemon Show content, we'd love for you to become a member of the Lemon community, where you will receive access to special community posts. You'll get exclusive content and members-only live shows. So head over to our channel page or click the join button on this video. Again, thank you for watching. We appreciate your love and your support, and we will see you next time.